probation. So not during the probation term, no.
Okay, so $45 on June 9th,
That was 43, Your Honor.
43. And then what did she pay on August 2nd?
$3.35.
Okay. And that's all she's paid since she was sentenced in May of 21.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Patterson, cross-examination.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Donovan, did you have occasion to talk with her about her financial situation?
Yes.
And what did she inform you about, first of all, her living situation?
At what point?
Well, had there been times where she did not have a permanent residence to live at?
Yes, when she initially was placed on probation.
And what, did she have a plan for trying to find a place to live? Do you know?
It's my understanding in talking with her that she was in a shelter at one point in time for a period of time, and actually is in some sort of program through her mental health provider also, apparently, that helps her with her housing and her utilities. So yes, that eventually came about at a later time. But that's my understanding of her living situation now. She does have her own place.
And as part of her financial difficulties, did that also cause trouble with her with having her own phone?
There may have been a time or two that her phone was actually maybe not working, if I recall. I'd have to go back through my notes. However, she has had some employment during probation. So she has had income at some point in time while on probation, although I understand not currently.
Did you talk with her about employment and whether she had employment or not?
Are you referencing currently or?
Throughout the period of probation?
Yes.
And had she had employment at one time?
Yes, she has.
And where was she working at then?
I believe it was the Presbyterian Manor in Newton, and then at another point it was Newell's, a restaurant, I believe.
And when was the last time that you were aware of that she had employment?
When she was released from custody on this warrant, she advised me she was waiting to find out if she still had a job when she got
Jerry
back home.
Peterson calls her
And
as
you stated that she has had assistance financially through some programs, is that correct?
I understand for living
You
expenses.
also stated that it was your belief those programs were through her mental health counselor, is that correct?
I believe it's a program she began participating in when she was in a shelter, from what I understand in talking to her, yes. And then I'm not sure how much her mental health provider assists with that now.
You were aware though that she was seeing mental health providers, is that correct?
She was not initially when she started probation, but as time went on, she alluded to it, did not really want to share information. It was very difficult to get that information from her.
Were you able to have any contact with Prairie View, her mental health providers?
No, she did not want to share that information with me.
So you're not aware that she is currently in therapy and getting medication management?
I do know that she reported that in our last hearing, and she has since disclosed that to me as well.
Now, wouldn't you agree that having financial difficulties, being in a shelter, and having mental health
That's awesome.
issues can make it more difficult on a probation than somebody who doesn't have those problems.
Yes.
And would it, as a probation officer, would it help you with a probationer if you had releases for the Prairie View records and to know what's going on with her on her mental health?
Yes.
And you stated that you have received verification that she has the Batteries Intervention Program assessment scheduled.
That's correct.
And on your verification, does it have a place and date and time that it will take place?
I believe it's September 14th. I apologize, I'm looking for that. September 14th at 10:30 a.m.
Where is it going to be taking place at?
Victor Offender Ministries in Newton.
No other questions, Howard? Thank you.
Very well, please proceed, Mr. Patterson. You may
Chelsea?
lower your hand, Ms. Jenny Blaney.
Kelsey, I'd like you to listen to my questions and answer those questions, okay?
Yes, sir.
For the record, could you please state your name?
Chelsea Ray Ann Bartunek.
Thank you. And Chelsea, currently, where are you residing at or living at?
In Newton, Kansas, under housing through Prairie View.
Okay. And how long have you had the current housing that you're in?
I was able to get it a couple weeks into January of this year.
Okay. And is that same housing continues since January?
Yeah, so far it's been going still. Mm-hmm.
No, it's a
And are you currently employed?
I'm not, no, because I'm mentally exhausted.
When was the last time that you worked?
January through, I worked for like 60 days at Presbyterian Manor, and then
dark
I
but
was
funny.
off for like 60 days, and then I worked at Noodles for like another 30 days. And it hasn't worked since then.
And is it, what you're telling the court, it's because of your mental health that you're not currently working?
Yes, we filed papers for SSI and stuff like that. So we're working on that.
Is somebody in Prairie View helping you with the paperwork for Social Security disability?
Somebody, I'm not for sure.
Did you look ahead, really?
Let me sign papers. It is. It's something we're checking into.
Okay. And you are currently in a mental health program, is that correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And where's that through?
Prairie View.
How long have you been in therapy or medication management at Prairie View?
Honestly, everything just started in January, so it's just been kind of like a hit and miss like work, you know.
And what's it been like getting on the right medication?
It takes a long time. I just tried one out and it wasn't working.
Okay, so have they switched you around from different medications to help you?
I've only had one medication for
So you've now started on a different one?
not till I see her this next week.
Okay. Has it been discussed though that you need to try a different one because what previously wasn't really helping you?
Yeah, because
It's cool.
I'm always getting something that's
but-
more draining. Yeah, yes.
And can you tell the court what you have been diagnosed with?
Honestly, they want to say bipolar, but I'm going with ADHD, so it's both probably.
Okay. And at times, do you know what it means to have of a manic episode?
More when I was a kid. Not anymore, no, I just get mad like anyone else.
Hey, dummy, I'm trying to get you, dig you out of the last hearing you had, where you dropped a bunch of F-bombs in front of the judge. So just roll with me.
Being treated fairly.
Now, what are you asking the court to do today?
To let me continue on trying to
Okay, so,
work without like giving me more charges.
and you would keep your appointment for your batter's intervention program assessment?
Yes.
Do you have a phone so that you can stay in contact with Ms. Donovan?
Yes, I do. And I do. I have been calling her. All the other times I either didn't have a phone or, like I said, I was working, long hours from early in the morning till the end of the day. I didn't have time to call her.
Okay. And would you also agree to sign?
Deborah, this defense attorney, God bless him, he's really doing an admirable job, but he decides to call her, and it doesn't go well.
You know.
Self-diagnosed as ADHD and thinks that and also suggests to the court that she just be left alone.
I mean, that's all she wants.
I mean, it's a simple request, right?
A release of information to Ms. Donovan through your Prairie View treatment.
Sure.
Okay. Judge, no other questions?
Cross-examination, Mr. Sweeney?
No, just argument.
Any further evidence, Mr. Patterson?
No other evidence, Your Honor.
For you non-attorneys in the group, not always, but if you do a big examination and the other side doesn't want to cross, you probably didn't make any points. It's a bad sign.
All right, those parties
No,
having
I
rested.
guess I take that back, Judge. I did email to Your Honor and to Mr. Sweeney copies of her records from Prairie View, and they were emailed this morning. I don't know if the court had an opportunity to see those, but I think it just does bear out the truth that she is in treatment and has been diagnosed. So I would just ask the court to consider those as evidence also.
To the extent that that's being offered as a defense exhibit, the state has no objection.
Very well, it is admitted as defense exhibit A, and the parties both having rested. Mr. Sweeney, argument?
Just very briefly, Your Honor, and I'm not sure exactly what Ms. Booker's recommendations were at the last hearing, although I guess what I'll say from the state's perspective is this, is that the money doesn't necessarily concern me much, if at all, really. I think the real issue I have here is the fact that this is a 2019 domestic violence case, and we're in August of 2022, and we haven't yet had a batter's intervention assessment yet. And for me, that's so fundamental to these types of cases and these probations that that's just not good as far as probation in a DV case. Secondly, the lack of reporting is obviously a problem in any probation. And most judges will tell defendants that it's the single most important condition of any probation is communication and reporting. And then finally, I just don't see that there's a lot of accountability from Ms. Bartunik, and I think that again is for any probationer. They have to be their own advocate. They have to contact the probation officer. Ms. Bartunik is not Ms. Donovan's only client. It is on Ms. Bartunik to make contact with Ms. Donovan. She stated in her examination from Ms. Patterson that she was just too busy and didn't have time to do it. That's not acceptable in probation. For that reason, I just don't see probation at this point going forward as amenable. I don't know that I would have an objection to some sort of modification of the sentence, but I just don't see probation working, so the state's seeking revocation.
Yeah, he nailed it. She just doesn't get it. She hasn't learned a damn thing. It's simple as that.
Thank you. Mr. Patterson, any argument?
Thank you, Judge. Judge, I would just note from the records that were admitted, it appears that the time that it started for her with Prairie View was around September 2021, which would fit into the timeline where she was really not reporting, that she was really kind of fell off the edge and maybe even homeless during that time. It makes sense that she, in that situation where she's having a mental health crisis, that she ends up in front of a place that does mental health treatment, but it takes time for that treatment to start helping her get her life back in order. They have to find the right medications, they have to find the right therapy. You know, I've been doing this for a long time. I've seen a lot of the Batters Intervention Program assessments, and this is one where I'm thinking they might say she needs some mental health counseling and medication management. Well, she's on her way to that, and that could be a big change in her life going forward if she can be in those programs and get the best out of it and find the right medications that would help her in everyday life, including the ability to focus and listen and understand. All of those things would go a long way with getting the right mental health treatment and health medication. So she appears that she now has that help through the end of 2021, through this year, and continuing on. So it is a matter that it looks like she has the tools in order to move forward and maybe improve her life in general with the medication and therapy. So Judge, we would ask the court to consider not revoking her probation, but continuing her probation with the requirement that she get a release sign for Prairie View so that it's seeing exactly what she's doing there and what she needs, and that she gets those needs fulfilled rather than placing a person with mental health problems in the jail and just having them housed. I think getting the help is more important for a judge than sitting in jail. So we would ask the court to consider reinstating her on probation.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. As I said earlier, I did review the court files, and in it, I found the affidavit that I or someone had looked at considering the arrest back in November of 2019, where the defendant had punched her mother in the head, and the mother had a trail of blood throughout the house. And the defendant at that time told law enforcement that they could take her to jail, but she was going to win, quoting, "I promise you, you are not going to win," end quote. Also commenting to officers that she, meaning her mother, quote, "she is going to learn a lesson," end quote. Also, quote, "no one else has given her any kind of medicine," meaning her mother had never been given a dose of medicine that included punching. So she started punching her mother in the head.
Judge, I understand what the court is.
Oh, this gets ugly. He makes an objection.
And to consider those at any stage, I think, would be something that I would object to, and shouldn't be considered by the court.
Excuse me, she was found guilty of bench trial May 3rd of 2021. diversion agreement says if she violates the agreement, the agreement is proceeding.
Guilty under diversion, and if she violates, then all that stuff comes in.
I thought she said she was found guilty through a bench trial, which means there had to have been some sort of testimony, right? So factual basis, testimony by the mother, by a police officer, by somebody, and then she was still able to do a diversion. You can't do that in Michigan for a DV diversion. If you go to trial and lose, you don't get the chance at a diversion. It's only available if you enter a plea. So I don't. I mean, I guess obviously this is a little bit different, but either way, how do you object to that information coming in that had to have either been in the factual basis for a plea, or if it was a bench trial, clearly somebody must have testified to it.
Testimony or a factual basis, but it had to be,
Yeah.
something had to happen for her to get convicted at the bench trial.
Right, it's not like she's like just gonna take a DV or whatever it was because it had to be a factual basis.
The court of first impression, you're in front of a jury and someone's just reading a police report. Hell no, that's hearsay, but that's not what we're dealing with here.
No, I guess the only thing I can think of is if mom kind of waffled on the stand and didn't admit to that sort of thing happening to her, and she's just like, oh, there was pushing and shoving, and that's still a DV, right? So they still would have found her guilty, and I guess she can do a diversion if she's found guilty, whether she pleads or not. But I find it really hard to believe that mom would have gotten on the stand and backed off, and that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Well, she won't say it, but she overrules the objection.
You still wish to pursue that objection?
I do object, Judge. I just think that it would be improper to use all of those reports without having them admitted into the record for
They are
proof.
part of the record, Mr. Patterson. They became part of the record of their trial.
They're not part of the record today, Judge, and I would object to the court using them. I will maintain my objection, but understand.
Mr. Patterson, there is this little rule that the court can take judicial notice of its records. And that's what the court is doing, is taking judicial notice. Your objection is noted.
And last thing, Judge, they were not in the record. I have a copy of the diversion. There are no reports attached to it. And Judge Rickey complains about that all the time, that they are not connected to it or attached to it. So they weren't part of the record at the time of the diversion revocation.
If they cross-reference it, you don't have to be attached.
Of course.
And that's what we're looking at. But the point of it is, and the reason I bring this up is because I was really concerned whether the behavior I saw 2 weeks ago from this defendant was a mental illness where she was having inability to control herself, or a weakness of personality in the way she looks at the world.
No.
And so I wanted to go back and see what people, which included people who would have been present at the time of the crime, including her children. She was ordered to have no firearms, and as part of the diversion, she was to have the batterer's intervention evaluation by December 30th of 2020. That was the first order for her to get that evaluation, December 30th of 2020. She was also to get a job, pay on her case, violate no laws, and get a mental health evaluation. And then there was some kind of online course that she was supposed to take. Well, March 19th of 2021, that diversion was revoked. The court did find that she had violated her diversion. Specifically, that she failed to pay, failed to complete the online program, failed to enroll in and complete either the batter's intervention or the mental health assessment.
Judge, she did pay $3.35 this month.
So her diversion was revoked in May 3rd of 2021. There was the bench trial. She was found guilty as charged.
You'll like this, John.
Charged in domestic battery. Recklessly causing bodily harm to a family or person in a dating relationship or with whom she resided, and in that case resided. She was residing with her mother. So on May 3rd of 21, she was not only found guilty, but she was sentenced to 6 months in the county jail with the grant of a 1-year probation. And that probation included a list of course, not consuming alcohol and the usual standard conditions, pay all fines and costs, etc., notify the CSO of changes in employment, etc. But specifically, obtain the batter's intervention program within 30 days. So she was again ordered to do it, but she was to have it done by June 3rd, 2021, over a year ago. She was told to have it done. And she was to make a minimum monthly payment of 1/2, says 1/2 the total cost starting in May, which would have been May of 2021. I would question whether that 1/2 was really a typo, that maybe it was meant 1/12, because that is certainly this court's standard. But in any event, she, on May 22nd, the request was filed. Now, of course, Kansas law gives them a year to have that request filed, but it also gives them a 30-day extension to get it filed. So she was within the time of appropriately requesting revocation, this Donovan that is. And the warrant to show cause being served 6/6 of 2022 leads us to today. And the bottom line is, she has had, since that diversion, December 30th of 2020, to get that evaluation done. She hasn't done it. She's been ordered to do it. By June of 2021, she didn't do it. So between the diversion and the sentencing order, she's had plenty of time to get that done. And as Mr. Sweeney says, that's very important to these types of cases. Her attitude has been such that I think not only has she had plenty of time to show remorse and correct her behavior, but she shows no signs of getting any better, even though she's had the benefits of mental health since, I believe it was September of 21, and she's been set up in her housing, and she's had 2 different employments since January of 21, and here we are 2-3 years into this case, and we're nowhere further along with her success. So I do find she has violated her probation. I revoke her probation.
Boom.
And I believe that probation would be of no benefit to her and a waste of court services time. So I do remand Ms. Martini to the custody of the Butler County Sheriff in order for her to serve the balance of her 6-month sentence at this time. So Ms. Martini, you will need to go with the officers to the county jail.
Thanks for your harmful attitude.
And you're welcome. So,
Eric, it's a double rainbow. Hey Cal, look at that, it's a double rainbow.
Well, there you have it. Oh, Debbie, you're all frozen. Where are you at? What hole are you on?
They're on two. My golfers, they're super thrilled with me right now. There's a little golf club that is so cute.
Oh, they are cute.
Yeah.
They are cute.
They're
All right,
hired
you're all frozen up on me though.
Oh, sorry, we're in the middle of nowhere.
I get it. Well, there you have it. So she got revoked and went away for 6 months. Judge did
I'll
everything she
remain for
could.
6 months.
Two crazy defendants in a row. She did everything she could for both of them. They just wouldn't have it. Would not have it.
You can't fix everybody. I've kind of realized that, unfortunately.
You can't fix stupid. I think that's a theme for the day. All right. Thank you so much for
Very
coming
much
by. I appreciate it.
Well, hey man, thanks for having me. And Tanner's
I'm
teeing off
John.
right now,
I'm
so.
John. Maybe I'll go up to the pool. All right. Good night. Is 3B calling tomorrow?
Yeah. To Wednesday.
All right. Well, then I guess I'll have to go. Harass Judge Simpson or something instead.
I think it's a good idea, and it's usually really good stuff there. So.
All right.
Oh, good thing Tanner's teammate just nailed one onto the green. So.
There you
Gotta
go.
go with the scramble. Well, thanks,
All
Mike.
right.
We'll talk to you later.
All right. Good night. Well, there you have it. I brought you the